Hello everyone and welcome to a bit of an experiment. What I'm doing today is I'm going to try and do a podcast but as a video. Not sure how this will work out, but let's give it a go. The reason for it is because I've been asked a lot of questions by some new archers about tabs, finger tabs, shooting tabs, and the different types that are out there and what they all mean and how some have got spacers. Others are one piece, some are split, and what they basically mean, how they compare to shooting gloves and the like. So today what I'm going to try and do is just give you a very quick rundown on what a finger tab is. So this is a really basic one layer of leather, and this is a finger tab actually for a left-handed archer. So they would go through like this and the string would sit in there. So this one would be the sort of thing you'd have maybe on a beginner's course or for a have a go. And this is for somebody who's shooting split finger or Mediterranean release, which is why there's a gap here. As opposed to the one, you can tell they're a bit fiddly to get them off. This is for a right-handed archer. It'll go through there, and this is a solid piece. So this would be for a bare bow archer that's going 3 fingers under. The other thing you'll notice that this has got a hair finish to it. This is a smooth leather finish, and that's one of the things to notice. I prefer this finish. I find that I get a better release and the bow shoots a little bit quicker. It's a personal preference though. The issue that you do have, and you can probably just see here, I'm not sure how the light is, that it's beginning to wear, and that's where my fingers sit. This is the same style of tab but cut for Mediterranean loose, and that's a right-handed one. So this is one where you put your finger through and it'll fit like that. The others that you get then as you start developing where finger tabs are concerned are ones like these, which have got spacers in finger spacers. And again, this is for those who shoot split finger. This is am I right? This is a Gompi, I think. And you put your finger through, and then this forces that gap, so you don't have your fingers pinching in on the nock of the arrow. This is a leather one, and this is 3 layers. There's a rubber leather in there for non-slip. And this is a really old one. This is one of my very old ones I bought, and I bought this not probably when I first started the elastic gauge section. So rather than putting your finger through, you can tighten it up and use it. And here is one that is particularly well shot in. See how stiff the leather is? Well, this is after it's been treated. I'll come to treating them in a bit, and after I've modified, and you'll see that it's slightly smaller. And one tip I will give you is always buy a finger tab that's too large and then be able to trim it down. That's what I've done, is I've trimmed this one down. You can see how the elastic's really old now and it's worn, but it works really well. Sorry if you can hear a knocking, it's my watch on the wood surface. I'm recording this in my office. And that sits in there. This is an old ANF. I used to love these, and then I got introduced to using a fur finish, and then I got in touch with guys at Dixie Leather. That's a call out to you guys, Dixie Leather, who were kind enough to help me develop this, which is a custom tab that they made for me, where I've got a layer of hair, layer of leather underneath, and this huge extra bit, and this huge extra bit is one I prepared earlier. This has just got a bit of string on to show you today. Allows me to fold that over. So then when I'm actually shooting, this is a new one that I'll be starting to use soon because my old ones are getting shot out. I can fit that on there, and that extra piece of leather covers up the metal piece because I didn't really like that. And when I'm shooting or after I've shot and when I'm doing the scores, I can just turn that around. I've got full articulation with my fingers, and I can use the pen to do the scoring, etc. That works really well, and this one will be the next one I'll be going out and shooting. And I always get them to make them a bit too large and then I trim it down so that I can actually have it custom to my fingers. Dixie leather, fantastic guys. They actually produce this style now with a pull string cord. So that's a few examples. You've basically got the very basic ones, which are like these, where you put your fingers through, and then you start going up into the more involved ones, and the really pro ones that you can get that you'll see target archers use will allow them to replace these layers of leather, and they bolt together, and they've got then a finger guard that comes over here for when they position it underneath their chins if they're shooting an Olympic recurve, etc. But really, that's what you start with, and then you progress up and you customize them. And what I do is, as I said before, I always buy a large one so I can then trim it down to my fingers, so that when it's on there and I'm drawing back, it's literally just covering the tips of my fingers. And you'll see there how that's the case, and they get worn in. What I do though is I do treat them. I treat the inside of them, never the face that's actually on the string. Sorry, I realise my watch is knocking a lot. I should have taken my watch off. What I can use here is that you could either use cooking oil. Olive oil works really well, I found. Vaseline works as well because it nurtures it and it just softens the leather and makes it more malleable for the feeling. You can use different balms, leather balms that you can get. I've got one that I can use on my leather boots, and that works really well. It works quite well on this, but as I said, Vaseline works really just as well. Put it on the inside of each of these, let it soak in, and it just makes it that little bit more subtle. Now, tabs are one thing, but a lot of people like shooting with gloves. I'm just going to show you a couple of different types of gloves. These are just the tip gloves, and what happens with these is they literally will just cover your fingertips. So they'll be on like so, of your shooting hand, or of your draw hand, I should say. And it literally just covers the very tips as you pull back. Some people really like these because the fact that it means your hand is open and it doesn't get hot and sweaty as it does with a glove like this. I'm not a big fan of them because I tend to find the leather is a bit too thick and I find it hard to feel the string when I'm actually drawing back. It's a personal preference. Give them a go. I said I've got a few gloves here that I just dug out of my kit bag. This is an old medium one. Get one that actually fits your hand and make sure they actually do fit your hand. Unlike a tab, don't go for something too large because you want to be able to slide your fingers down and get them into the very ends of the actual glove, and the string will sit here. Now, one thing that you'll notice if you use one of these gloves is your hand will sweat, and they range in price just like tabs. That's less than £1, up to the more expensive tabs where you can pay £30 from. It's the same with the gloves. Again, this is a really, really old one. This is actually one I have when I first started, and I don't tend to use that much now. You can see how it's worn. But again, you can treat these with, like I said, I've used olive oil, I've used cooking oil, I've used Vaseline, I've tried them all different types. The things to bear in mind is how thick this part is on your fingers, because you want to be able to feel the, so I don't know if you just heard that, which is a load of geese fly overhead. You want to still be able to feel the string on your fingertips. The heavier duty ones like these tend to be thicker for a heavier draw weight bows. For the bows that I shoot, I find them too thick, but it's, horse of course is what you feel comfortable with. What they all have is this velcro aspect, so that they strap over, so when you put it onto your hand, it goes on like so, wraps round, and you can then do it nice and tight on there. A little bit of elastic there for adaptation. What I have found is that whereas this one has got a fair amount of velcro, and not all of them do have, or the fingertip one I was showing you earlier, by the way, doesn't use Velcro. It uses like a stud and a hole to go through that. What I have found and what I have done on some of the others is that this is one that you'd have brand new, and you can see you've only got a small strip of Velcro. So what I do is I actually stitch an extra piece in on that Velcro so that I can get a really nice tight grip onto my wrist so that it doesn't actually move. So let's just try and get a better view there. Great stitching, but it does the job. And that one of them I'm actually being glued on. I got another one I have I can show you. There you go. That's a nicer, tidier one where I've stitched that on, and it holds on really well. And what that basically means is when I put it onto my hand, I can put it on, and I haven't got just this little bit of Velcro to try and get across. I've got a nice large loop, and I can just wrap it around, and it's nice and tight. I have shot with a glove for a couple of years. I went back to a tab because I prefer it. Simple reason, my hand gets really hot and quite sweaty inside these, and on a warm summer's day, not that we get them that often, I find it really uncomfortable, so I swapped to a tab. And the advantage with the tab, and the tabs that I use, is I can wear fingerless gloves if my hand gets really cold in the winter, so I prefer it. Anyway, that's a breakdown on gloves and what to look out for. As I said, where gloves are concerned, get one that actually fits you. They are different. The length of the fingers are different, and you may find you end up needing to pay a little bit more for a glove. All of these are leather. I'm not a fan of the synthetic ones that you can get. Tried them a bit. Again, hand got too warm. It didn't feel right in my hand, so I preferred these. But it's down to the individual. They're nice, they're easy. I find that I can get a better release though from a tab than I do a glove. But having said that, there's something very simple about just shooting with a glove, just grabbing a glove, and there's a lot of archers out there that are very successful with shooting using a glove. So that's it. I just wanted to make this nice, it's not even that long podcast or attempted video on how and what you use and what you can use. As I said, most people will start off with one of these, and as they progress, by the way, you'll notice that I wear my watch on my right, and that is because I'm a right-handed archer, and when it comes to wearing my arm guard on my left, I didn't want it underneath my watch. It was getting on my nerves, and I wear it on the right. Going back to what I was saying about tabs, though, it is worth treating them. It is also worth just trying different ones if you can. Have a chat with people that use them. There are so many out there. There are so many that are slightly different. As I said, if you're a barebow archer, you shoot 3 fingers under, you're going to want a solid tab. There's some really good articles about the way that you can do string walking using your tab as well. And like, I don't string walk. I shoot with a fixed anchor point, a fixed reference point on my fingers, and I shoot split fingers. The other thing to bear in mind, whether you're using a tab or a glove, I mentioned it earlier, is they get shot out. They start wear and tear. You can see here how the fur is beginning to come off. And if I'd gone and grabbed one of my older tabs, which is pretty much bald from having been shot so much, they do wear out after time. So you've got to bear that in mind, which basically means is you will have ideally a couple of tabs that you can use at a shoot or a competition, and maybe another one you're beginning to use for practice to get a shot in. The reason I say it's really important is because the fact that at the end of the day, if you're shooting in all different weathers, which you will be in the UK, your tab can or your glove can get absolutely soaking. And the thing to bear in mind then is if you got a wet tab, I've literally had ones like these where I've wrung out the water because it is actually so wet. The nice thing of having a spare is you can swap it out halfway around, and you then got another dry one, and they can sit and dry. If you are drying these out, whatever you do, whether it be a glove, whether it be a tab, don't put them on a radiator, let them dry naturally, because if you put them on the radiator, there's a good chance of them drying out and cracking, and that's why having or nurturing the leather, putting some oil on or something like that works really, really well. Anyway, that's it. That's the experiment. We're doing this as a video as opposed to doing this as a normal, regular audio podcast. I've hopefully it was being of more use to you because you've been able to see some different styles. And as I said, um, tip when it comes to gloves, add that little bit of velcro in because it makes life a little bit easier. You can see all the fluff and everything that builds up on them. And when it comes to tabs, make sure you've got a couple of spares that you've actually shot in. Important note, just try different ones. Try to work out which ones work well for you. Some people will like to have a really thick and multi-layers. As you can see with mine aren't that thick, and I rather be able to feel the actual string when I'm actually indexing my fingers onto the string and drawing back. And that's it, guys. I hope you found that useful. As always, if you want to get in touch, by all means, drop offthearrowshelf.com. Have a look on there. There's a contacts page on there. You can find me on Instagram, X, which used to be Twitter, and just drop me a line if you want to have a chat about something or want to ask some advice. I'm there, and if I can help you, I will. And if I can't help you, I'll tell you that. I won't make something up. And thanks very much for your time.